The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using promo code SGPN, and then go over to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go over to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants any deal?
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
And welcome to the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, May the 16th, and yes, I have a virtual RFK behind me because I'm coming to you live from a bathroom, actually, to bring no days off on the NFL Gambling Podcast. I'm on vacation, so making it work. We got to bring you week one. The lines are out, so we got to get ahead of these lines before they move too much. I am Moneyline Mac, and I am joined by my co-hosts every week of the NFL season, JMark Football, Old Fashioned Football. JMark, what's going on, man?
I'm going to go ahead and assume you're coming from the bathroom because that was the best place to do the pod from, not because you had some bad food, right?
Correct. Or or a bad beverage or two, so 5 o'clock somewhere, but depending on what time zone you're, or it might just be 5 o'clock mentality. So, but yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the NFL because we got week one lines out. Everybody's taking a look. We've had 5 days to digest since the schedule release. Go check out our instant reactions where we broke down our top 10 games of the NFL season. Looking ahead to week number one, which we also gave out a lock and dog. We will give out at the end of our show a separate lock and dog as well. So that'll be 4 total bets from JMark and myself each. So gives you plenty of time to get ahead of the action. And we're 111 days away from Lions Chiefs. What stands out in week one? What catches your eye?
Well, I know everybody expects to hear Bears-Packers, right? That's definitely part of it. But, I mean, there's some interesting matchups and even division matchups. I mean, Panthers-Falcons, we kind of talked about how while we think that's the Saints division, it is wide open still. So that'll set the tone right away for one of those teams. So that's an interesting one. And then Jags-Colts. I'm curious to see if the Jaguars can keep that same momentum they had last year and roll that over into this year and start right away. We both think they're going to win that division, but it starts week one against the Colts.
Yeah, and you stole the narrative right from me. I just counted it off. I got 8 divisional matchups in week number one in the NFL. So do the math. That's 8 out of 16. That's half the matchups hurt within their own division. You got Bengals, Browns, Panthers, Falcons, Jags, Colts, who else we got? Oh, Bears, Packers, of course. And then you got Rams, Seahawks, and Raiders, Broncos in the late window. And then you cap it off with 2 primetime games, Cowboys, Giants, always a good rivalry, and Bills at the Jets on Monday Night Football. We got Moonoff in the chat, hand pink waving.
I think it was a loss in translation. It was probably an emoji waving.
Moonoff's a dad, so he's speaking in a different language. That must be dad language over there. So
there you go.
Shout out to everybody. Go congratulate Moonoff on being a father. I think when was the newborn born, Moonoff? If you're still in the chat, I think it was last week.
I don't know, but he doesn't have a beard yet.
Yeah, no,
I think it's starting to grow though.
Yeah, if they have a beard and length of Moonoff, they're doing quite well. So Moonoff, shout out to the machine. I know he's dying to get back on the NFL, NBA, MLB, Propcast, and the other 69 podcasts that he does for the SGPN. 1 week today, Tuesday the 9th. So happy 1 week to the newborn. But Moonoff's Texans will be part of the slate that we're going to go into. They are the biggest dog of week number 1. So maybe we'll JMark already gave out Texans money line, I believe, in our episode last week, right?
I certainly did. Ravens are a mess. This is a new Texans team. I think they were one of the teams that won the draft. So, yeah, I'm taking them on the money line week 1 just for Moonoff.
Yeah. Make sure you add that in your invoice at the end of the month. But
right.
but before we get into this 16 game slate for NFL week number 1, I got to get us paid, and we at SGPN are brought to you by Edge Boost. SGPN is excited to announce an exclusive early access partnership with Edge Boost, the world's first bet now later Visa card. Similar to buy now, later programs like Affirm and Afterpay, Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest and pay back your advance over 4 equal weekly installments. That's right, 0% interest. Simply deposit funds into your account. Edge Boost will match the deposit so you can use 2 times the funds on any legal sports betting. Edge currently offers $2,500 in advances as you can build a repayment history. My Edge Boost double downs each day of the week. With this special offer, the first 500 SGPN users will start a $1,000 advance limit, and the next 2,500 users will start with $500. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up today. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 or older to be in a valid legal gambling state. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Moonoff. Hey, you got extended 5 years for giving out Texas money line picks. So hopefully it comes to fruition there, and make sure you do so over Edge Boost. So let's leave Thursday Night Football. Lions, the offseason darlings, once again, go to Arrowhead on Super Bowl night. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. Chiefs are laying 6.5. Early lean. I guess we'll call these early leans, and then we'll give out our lock and dog at the end. So you got a side you want to lean with here. I know we kind of are a little bit want to fade the lines, I think, to start the year.
Yeah, and I think Andy Reid's the type of coach that you're not going to have that Super Bowl hangover. I think they're going to come out firing. They still have a lot to prove. I mean, they had some turnover, especially in the wide receiver position. So I think they have a lot to prove to show that they're still the team to beat. And I don't like a Lions team that's getting this much hype. So I'm leaning the Chiefs with the 6.5 here.
I think we're seeing eye to eye. It is interesting that they open this up, the books that is below a touchdown. So maybe it's a bait to take Kansas City. But I think this is just a strict play on trusting Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce with multiple weeks to prepare against Dan Campbell. I also think, like, you look at what Kansas City did last year on week number 1, where they just kind of made a statement. They've been historically really good on week 1s under Andy Reid. Everybody knows the off of bye week stats. I kind of view week number 1 with so much time to prepare as kind of a bye week for Andy Reid. So I think this is a good spot to back the Chiefs on Super Bowl night. How do you see the Lions getting off to a slow start with all this hype, and then maybe coming back to the pack like they, or going on a little bit of a run in the second half like they did last year?
I mean, I'm hoping they stay on their slow start, but I definitely think they're going to have a slow start, especially when you look at, their wide receiver room was decimated by suspensions due to gambling. Now, I think the biggest one that this impacts is Jameson Williams, but he's out 6 weeks. So their wide receiver too, they're really looking at, Khalif Raymond, Craig Reynolds, or Marvin Jones, guys that aren't necessarily field stretchers by any means. So that puts a lot of pressure on Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have their new rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs, who, he'll just be getting into the league. I think they're going to have a little bit of growing pains there. I do. I think the defense will be solid, but I think that offense will have some growing pains. And so, yeah, I do think they'll have a slow start.
I agree with you. And I just think everybody remembers when Golf and Mahomes met up in prime time years ago when he was on the Rams at the historic 59-56 game or whatever the game finished. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game, but I just don't see, although they've invested assets into that defense, I just on Super Bowl night with all those weapons, I see Mahomes and Andy Reid getting off to a 1-0 start once again in Kansas City.
Hopefully with rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice, since I drafted him in multiple rookie drafts.
Go check out the old-fashioned football. You can drink some whiskey and pick your fantasy team.
There you go.
Can't beat that. That's America. Let's move over to the Sunday, September the 10th, the early window. I got an AFC North divisional rivalry in the state of Ohio. Joe Burrow is headed into year number 4, and he has never won in Cleveland. And they're going to start right off in the dog pound. Browns are getting 2.5. Short number here. Sean Watson, year number 2, only played 6 games. He was atrocious, let's be honest. You like the home dog here? These home dogs were good in week 1 last year.
They were. I just have no faith in the Browns this year. So getting under 3 with the Bengals, I'm jumping all over that. I think they should have been in that Super Bowl. And so, yeah, I'm going to ride that. And a pissed off Joe Burrow. I mean, he's a good player, especially when he's angry.
This is good. We get our first disagreement of the season. I'll be all over the Browns in this spot. Burrow has never beaten the Browns in Cleveland. I'm going to take the dog pound here. Week 1, that place will be going absolutely bananas. I think they're able to run the ball with Chubb, bolstered up that defensive line with the addition of Smith earlier this week or over the weekend. I think they can get after. Every time they play the Bengals, I feel like they give them fits because of their ability to rush the passer with Garrett, and now that you had Smith on the other side of things, I think this is a good spot for the Browns to make a statement. We saw also the Bengals get off to a slow start last year where they dropped that opening game to the Steelers. That game is in the jungle, actually. So Burrow and company has gotten off to slow starts before. I think they do so again. I will take the Browns, and I'll take it on the money line as well. Stay tuned. This might be the dog at the end of the show.
There you go.
There you go. So our first difference of the year. And let's move over. There you go. You got a 10-year extension now. So you're tenured already at SGPN.
There you go.
Let's move over. We got a battle of Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins in the early window, which I kind of am hinting which way I'm going to go here because we know the stats of Kirk Cousins in primetime versus early. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers post Tom Brady era going to Minnesota. I see the Vikings laying a full touchdown. JMark, your fellow NFC North, skull. Which way you going?
Yeah, I'm going to ride with the Vikings here. I think the Bucs have a chance of being one of the worst teams in the NFL this year, unless something comes to fruition at the quarterback position. I don't think Baker Mayfield nor Kyle Trask are going to be able to compete. They have questions kind of all across the board, except maybe their receiver room. Their defense is okay, but I think they're going to take a step back there too. So I'm going to ride with the Vikings. They surprised everybody last year, and the books have them taking a step back, but I don't know if I see them taking that big of a step back. So I know it's a full touchdown, but I'm still going to take them.
I'm with you. We like to lay it with the Vikings in that early 1:00 window. We know the stats of Kirk Cousins in the early window versus prime time. Baker Mayfield, man, I can't get on board with these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is a smash spot. I think a lot of people are going to point to regression for the Vikings with all those one-score wins, which I think could happen, but I don't think that this is a one-score game to start the year for the Skull Nation there. I think this is a beatdown. Do you think Tampa Bay ultimately ends up as the worst team in football?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to be in the running for it. Yeah. Yep. And they'll be potentially drafting Caleb Williams next year.
Oh Baker, he just keeps going to bad teams. So
Right.
yeah, we're both on the Vikings here, early leans. Let's go to the NFC South for the next game. We got Carolina, the rookie Bryce Young headed to the ATL. The Falcons are laying 2.5. The old saying with Ryan and Sean, take the 2.5, lay the 3.5. You taking that advice here and taking the road dog here?
I'm going to take the Panthers. Yeah, I think I just see them more as a complete team, though. Falcons got a really good offensive line, but uh, yeah, I think I have to go with the Panthers. Interesting point from Moonoff here. I think guys may request trades from the Bucks. I mean, if you think of guys like Mike Evans who are getting older, especially at a wide receiver position, does he want to ride out the rest of his days with a Baker Mayfield / Kyle Trask season? Probably not. So it's a
I
good
wouldn't.
point. No.
Yeah, no, that's going to be an interesting dynamic to monitor, especially with you over at the Old Fashioned Football from a fantasy standpoint. Is the NFL is slowly becoming more of the NBA at the trade deadline, where there's meaningful trades that actually have implications on playoff runs. Teams are more going all in if they think that they have a Super Bowl window or a playoff window. Maybe the Chicago Bears that haven't been to the playoffs in a couple of years, and they're sitting right there, and they get that extra piece to put them over the hump to take over the Packers for the North. I'm
Yeah.
talking it into existence over here.
Yeah. You don't need to. It's going to happen anyways. But
We'll get to that game later in this slate. I'm with you. I'm going to take the Panthers here. Take Ryan and Sean's advice. Take the 2.5. I think the Panthers got a shot to win this game. I do like the rushing attack for Atlanta, but I think we kept liking taking Atlanta as the dogs last year. I don't like laying points with Desmond Ridder. I like Frank Reich. I think we had the coaching advantage here as well. Thought he got a raw deal in Indianapolis. I think they're able to script some things up for Bryce Young and get off to a 1-0 start there in the Frank Reich era.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're agreeing too much, so I got to take a break and get us paid. And it is Shady Rays and Shady May. Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May, not only doing an amazing job, 50% off, but you also have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays has you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays has durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection for all eyewear. Everywhere pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. So if you just fall down, had too many cold beers watching your team, and you just fall down and your shades break, don't worry, they got you covered. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back and after you purchase with them. If you don't love them, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. And for our international listeners, Shady Rays, how about this, has you covered as well with shipping to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs for polarized sunglasses. Then take your receipt at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500 Shady May contest. Tell you what, all those guys going to the Germany and London games, get over to Shady Rays. Make sure you got some protection going into those games. Speaking of London, we got the London Jaguars going to Indianapolis for a How about this, man? The Jaguars on week number 1 of the NFL season are laying 3.5 in Indianapolis. Boy, have times changed where the Jags all of a sudden are favorites on the road week 1. What has happened to this world? They got expectations. You and I, we've already teased that we're bullish on this Jaguars team. Year number 2 of the Doug Peterson era with Trevor Lawrence. They make a statement here, or
yeah, I think
it's just a home dog?
No, I think they do. I mean, there's way too many question pieces on the Colts, whether Anthony Richardson's actually going to start. I don't think he will right away. And they it's going to be weird. I think Gardner Minshew is going to be their quarterback for now. So in this Jaguars team, they were one of the hottest teams down the stretch last year. And I think that rolls right over to this year. I think Trevor Lawrence takes another step forward, and I think they are ready to compete. They're ready to roll, and they're ready to show everybody like, hey, we belong in these conversations with the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, all those teams. We belong there.
Man, I love the Jags. That's my team. It's kind of a nerve-wracking spot. Open up in Indianapolis as 3.5-point favorites. If it's Minshew, I think I might lean to the Colts with the points. I could
Mhm.
see this being a tight game if Minshew, the unknown, with the new offense there in Indianapolis, they get Jonathan Taylor back. I think the Jags ultimately get out of here alive. I also worry about the look ahead spot with Kansas City in week number 2. That was one of our 10 games that we spotlighted. So hopefully they're not looking towards that playoff rematch in week number 2. If they come out and make a statement, I think that it really is something in terms of how far the Jaguars have come as a franchise in just a year, because this is the ultimate trap spot. Indianapolis was arguably the worst team in the NFL. They're going there. Everybody's picking them to be the sleeper in the AFC. So I think if they go out and make a statement, this really does say how far this Jaguar team has come under Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence in year number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see where you're coming from there. Um, I like how you said Colts were arguably the worst team in the NFL. It was not the Texans, if Munaf's, it was not the Texans.
The Texans, remember the Texans beat the Colts week number 18 to get the Bears the first pick. Lovey,
I
one
know,
last present to the city of Chicago.
right? God bless Lovey Smith.
Yeah, Lovey. Once a bear, always a bear. So yeah, build a statue. Lovey Smith, baby. Speaking of, so this is one of the more intriguing week 1 matchups in my opinion. You got a cross conference matchup here. Rod is sitting this one out today because we may have a dog here that we like. We got San Francisco going across the country to Pittsburgh to open up. We got the Niners laying 3. You like the home dog here? Tomlin week 1 to start the season against Shanahan. We don't know who's playing quarterback. It's Sam Darnold, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest parts of this is who is at quarterback. But regardless, I don't think Brock Purdy is healthy enough. And if it's Trey Lance, I'm definitely going against the 49ers. But even
Saw
at
that
Sam,
last year. Yeah.
yeah. But even as is Sam Darnold, I think the Steelers team will be ready. Tomlin is a hell of a coach. Granted, Shanahan's a hell of a coach too, but I just think the Steelers are going to be ready to open up at the home field advantage and make some noise. So I like the Steelers in this one. Sorry, Rod.
We're eye to eye on this one. I think this is a Steelers money line play. Tough spot for San Francisco having to go across the country to go to Pittsburgh. Week number 1 quarterback situations. Like you said, if it's Trey Lance, it's an auto play. Sam Darnold, I still think I lean that way. It doesn't sound like any way. Brock Purdy, year number 2 of Kenny Pickett. TJ Watt's going to be healthy. We know the stats Steelers with TJ Watt versus without TJ Watt. I like the Steelers here, man. I'm with you. I think they're able to. This is a great matchup. Honestly, I think this should be in the later window. Just 2 iconic franchises squaring off in week number 1.
For sure. TJ Watt's at least going to be healthy this game.
Correct. Yeah. Don't play him in the
Unfortunately.
preseason.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know how long that'll last, but he'll at least be healthy this game. I also like Munaf's comment. He's waiting for his thank you present for that number 1 pick.
Oh man, yeah. It's you do owe him a bottle of bourbon since you
There
were
you
able to
go.
get DJ Moore out of that. You're able to get some offensive line help to help out Justin Fields. So shout out to Lovey Smith and shout out to Moonoff. Who's got the better beard? Do we ever settle that vote?
Well, since Munaf's right here, it's Munaf. If Lovey Smith was sitting next to me, it might be Lovey Smith. I don't
This
know.
episode has turned into Kiss Moonoff's ass. All right. Oh man, this is the dandy of dandies here. Game of the week. We got Arizona and Colt McCoy headed to Washington. Revenge game. Unfortunately, this game is not at RFK. Unfortunately, it's the Commanders and not the Redskins. But it is the first game post Daniel Snyder. Sam Howell, first game in DC. So you got Sam Howell versus Colt McCoy in week number 1 in the NFL. I'll let you take an unbiased approach to this game. My 2 cents, I don't know how you lay almost a touchdown with Sam Howell in his first start, even if it's against Colt McCoy and the Arizona Cardinals, who are arguably the worst team.
Yeah, that's tough. I want to take the Commanders. I like their running back room. I like their defense. And this Cardinals team just seems to be a dumpster fire. And
Mhm.
this is probably the team that the books have right where they probably will be the worst team. But like you said, Sam Howell, 5.5 points, that's a lot. But on the same side, I don't know if Arizona can move this ball on that Washington defense. That Washington
Yeah.
defense is good, and I think they're going to keep getting better. I think the cornerback help they got in the draft is going to really help them. And I think they're going to keep taking steps forward. I think they're going to have a good game plan here. Ron Rivera he's normally pretty good week 1. Now, week 15, 16, when he still thinks he's in the playoff race and he's not very good then. But week 1, I think he'll be ready to play some smash mouth football.
Don't make me get out the analytics again. The analytics and the tape of Carson Wentz, like you said, after the Bears. Week 5, Bears Washington. I see Munoz' angle of rookie head coach in Arizona coming over from Philadelphia. Jonathan Gannon, that is. Colt McCoy. You have that angle. I mean, I'm biased, and I think this is a good. I mean, if you're Washington, first game post Daniel Snyder, should have good vibes in in that stadium. Maybe there's a little bit of hope once again. But I just think the unknown with Sam Howell. I think it's interesting that the books are opening this up around almost a touchdown. I think that tells you how bad the Cardinals are going to be, that they are viewed as almost a touchdown underdog in Washington against a guy that's making his first, or I guess second career start. But you mentioned the whole handicap if you like Washington. Arizona probably won't be able to move the football on that defensive front.
Yep, agreed.
Munoz flipped me. I'm taking Washington. Homer pick.
Oh, it wasn't me that flipped you, huh? It was Munoz. I see.
Yeah. Exactly. So, hey, let's move along to where are we going next? NOLA. We are going to Derek Carr's debut in Big Easy, Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill going to New Orleans. Saints are laying 3.5. Is this a Vrabel dog spot here, week 1 against Dennis Allen?
Depends how much faith you have in Derek Carr. I think it's going to take him a while. I think it'll take him a bit to get acclimated. I don't think he's going to come in and win, especially just a 3.5 point favorite. If this was closer towards 3, I might take the Saints, or I guess under 3. If it was 2.5, I'd take the Saints. But with the 3.5, I could see this being a 3-point game. So give me the Titans.
I think I like the Titans as well. I think the Titans can win this game outright. Run the ball with Derrick Henry. He's healthy. He's back. We know the Vrabel dog stats over the years. They're fully healthy. They're a different team with Tannehill.
Yeah.
Without Tannehill, they're awful. But I think Vrabel, everybody's saying that they're going to be awful this year. Maybe so. Maybe in the end they're not as good because their lack of depth on the offensive line. But I think they're healthy going into this game. I think the Saints are getting a lot of publicity. People tune their horns a little bit. Derek Carr coming over from Vegas, but they lost a lot on that defense as well. I question Dennis Allen as a coach as well. I think it's a good spot for Tennessee to pull the upset mini dog here in week number 1.
Yeah, I like it.
Vrabel. I'll take Vrabel over Dennis Allen with all this time to prepare.
Yeah, true.
I think that's such a big advantage, though, in week number 1. If you have all this time to prepare and go all in on week 1, we saw it with Tomlin last year. We've seen it with Belichick over the years. So, yeah, I definitely will take the coaching. Speaking of coaching, we got a rookie head coach going to Baltimore to see Lamar. You've already teased where you're going with this one. Houston, CJ Stroud, game number 1 in Baltimore. Lamar got paid, got his weapons. Where are you going here?
Yeah, Lamar's going to be thankful he got all that guaranteed money when Will Anderson is chasing him down. I like the Texans here, and like I said last week, they're my dog. I think there was just too much drama, and even though Lamar finally got paid, how unsettled are his teammates with the fact that he drew that out to make that kind of money. Some are going to be happy for him. Some are going to be like, "Hey, why didn't you put the team first?" I know they all understand it's a business, but I just think there's going to be some lingering drama there. So yeah, I think this Texans team is on the right side of a upward trend here, or upward curve, I mean. And so I'm going to ride with the Texans, especially with the +9.
I think I like that too. I think it's a little surprising that this game didn't open up as double digits, just with how good the Ravens have been with Lamar, and especially in week number 1s. I think the Texans, the unknown. D'Amico Ryans comes over from San Francisco. They have a lot of time to prepare and gear up for this first game. I think the Texans were feisty early last year. I think that they played hard. This is another trend with Moonoff saying rookie head coach in his first game. I think they're able to keep this within the number, though.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so we're eye to eye. We'll see if we're eye to eye here because we go to the NFC North, and we got – is this right? Chicago is laying points against Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is officially no longer a Packer. If you forgot, here's your reminder. Aaron Rodgers is not a Packer because the Bears are laying 2.5 against the Packers. Jordan Love, where are you going here, man? Or why did I even ask that? Give me the reasons why you're going to beat down the Packers post Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to move the ball efficiently against the Packers last year. It was just the defense that couldn't kind of stop Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So I kind of see us being able to move the ball easily, but I'm not afraid of stopping Jordan Love. That doesn't concern me as much. And our defense is improved. I think we're going to be a lot better with Edmonds and Edwards at the linebacker position. We upgraded cornerback, and that defensive line has gotten some upgrades too. Still looking for an edge rusher. I wouldn't be surprised if they get Yannick Ngakoue, or however you say his last name, or some other edge rusher. A lot of rumors that they're going to make a play for Chase Young too.
Put still my players.
Which, if he's healthy, I mean, I'm all for. It's just a matter of if he can stay healthy. But yeah, I don't think this is. I think this is we're going to see these franchises flip. Right, the Packers were beat up the Bears for years and years with Rodgers and even Favre, and I think we're going to see it flip some. I think Fields is going to beat the Packers up now for years to come.
I think this is Green Bay at Minnesota last year. I think Chicago comes out, makes a statement, been waiting a long, long time to beat down the Packers once again. I think this is a route. I like Chicago a lot here to make a statement and prove. I think that they got a chance to win this division. I know you're a Bears fan, diehard Bears fan, but I agree with you. I think Justin Fields another step here. I thought it showed flashes under Eberflus of being well coached. They were competitive in some of these games. I think it's time that they start winning some of these games now.
Yeah, now I would have rather routed them with Rodgers, but I'll take it either way.
Yeah, and like you said, the games against Green Bay were close last year.
Yeah,
so
for sure they can't stop Fields running. They couldn't last year, anyways. And I don't want him to run as much as he did last year because I think that's too easily going to lead to injuries. But you can't stop a guy from that from running because I think it's just a natural instinct and that athletic ability that he has. You don't want to see him not run at all.
Agreed there. Speaking of running quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to Foxborough Tom Brady night. The Eagles are laying 4.5 here. We know the trend. Team struggling off losing the Super Bowl. I already gave this out as my dog. I like New England to win this game outright and pull the upset in the cross-conference matchup. Where are you going here?
I just can't put trust in Mac Jones. I really can't. And I think as much as I thought this Eagles team was going to take a step back because of some of the pieces they lost, I think they did a great job in the draft making up for those pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles. I think the Patriots are declining and will continue to decline, and the Eagles are going to stay relevant and in that NFC championship talk. So I'm going to ride with the Eagles here.
I think it would really be something if New England and Pittsburgh were able to pull the upsets here, because it kind of would show the strength of the AFC that they were able to knock off the top two teams in the NFC. They're old, basically traditional teams that are in that 10 to 12 range in the conference. Talk about New England and Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a transition for a couple weeks for Philly with the two new coordinators, teams coming off the Super Bowl loss, a little bit of a hangover like the Bengals last year. I think Philly gets off to a slow start and gets things going in the middle of the year. All righty, and next up, another divisional matchup here. We're going to the NFC West, and we got the LA Rams, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford's back, going to the 12th man. Bobby Wagner's back as a Seahawk from the Rams. Seahawks laying 5.5. Is that too much?
It seems like it, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's a
I
rivalry.
yeah, I get it that the Rams were bad last year. They did not look good, but at the same time, I mean, just think 2 years ago, they were really good.
They
So,
won the Super Bowl.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it seems like the people have quickly forgotten that, and I think that's why. Yeah, I know Geno Smith looked great last year. I think he'll have some natural regression. I think the Seahawks in general might have a little regression. So I think this is just too much for a divisional matchup. I think it's a 3-point game either way it goes. So I'm going to take the Rams plus 5.5.
And Seattle's one of my teams that I love as well. I think that they're going to take another step with fixing up some of those defensive issues that they had last year. They had Najee Smith in the draft to go with Lockett and Metcalf, but this is a divisional matchup. They are healthy. Aaron Donald's back. Cooper Kupp's back. Matt Stafford's back. These two teams hate each other. It's always close. I will definitely take the points, and you might even want to sprinkle on the money line. I could see the Rams going in there and pulling the upset to start off this season. These two teams, when the Rams are healthy, are not that far off. But in the long haul, I don't know if the Rams are able to stay healthy because they have such bad depth because they've just foregone the draft completely.
Yeah, such bad depth, and a lot of their key players are on the old side. I
Yeah.
mean, Stafford, but even if you think of Aaron Donald, he's getting up there. So yeah, I agree with you.
Another one we see eye to eye. And next up, we will go to the AFC West. And we got this is a good one. Vegas, Denver, Sean Payton working the sidelines for the Broncos. Year number 2, Russell Wilson. Year number 1, nicely put, was a disaster. 5-12. He was not good. They bring over Nathaniel Hackett, was a bust. Jimmy G is now a Vegas Raider. What do you think here, man? This is an intriguing week 1 matchup. This and the Rams Seahawks, sneaky games under the radar in week number 1.
Yeah, this is tough. Not knowing how that Sean Payton Broncos team is going to look, and not knowing how Jimmy G is going to look with the Raiders. This one it's right down the line for me. I could make a case for either side, but I'm just gonna. I know it's a completely different team with Sean Payton at the helm, but I'm gonna point to last year when the Broncos were favorites against the Seahawks in Week 1. Thought it'd be Russell Wilson's revenge game, and they go in and they lose it.
Yep.
So I think the same thing could happen. I think the Raiders could show a little flex here. Jimmy G is not a bad quarterback. Jimmy G is kind of a I would call him, he's a little more than a game manager. I normally don't like that term, but he's not going to lose the game. He's not going to make the mistakes that will lose the game for them. And I think they got enough going for them in other areas that they're going to be able to compete in this game. So, yeah, give me the Raiders.
I think you got to go Raiders here for me. Jimmy G, like you said, he also is a guy that battles injuries, but I'm going to take the points. I think these two teams always play each other close. So I think it's another game that comes down to a field goal, kind of like the Seahawks and Rams. So in those situations, I'm always going to take the points. I do think Denver will be improved, but I'm going to take the points here in week number 1. Divisional matchup. I think both teams ready to go.
Yeah, and I think Broncos will be improved, but it may take a bit, right? I mean, we see new coaches. It takes them a while. I know it's not Sean Payton's first time coaching, obviously, but he hasn't coached for a little bit, and might just take him and Russell Wilson a while to get on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Next up on the lineup, I would say this is probably the most underrated game of week 1. Sneaky kind of threw it in the late window. Miami is going to LA. You got Tua, Herbert, same draft class, picks 5 and 6. You got the Chargers laying 2.5, short number here. For the Chargers, Kellen Moore comes over from Dallas, offensive coordinator in LA. Big year for Brandon Staley. Year number for the Dolphins. Year number 2 of Mike McDaniel. Hopefully Tua can stay healthy. They're loaded roster wise. Where are you going here? You like the Finns here in LA?
I like the Chargers. I'm a big Kellen Moore fan since his days from Boise State, so maybe it's a bit of a one-sided for me because of that. But I didn't think Tua was going to do as good as he did last year, and obviously proved wrong until he got hurt. And I just wonder if maybe he'll play a little bit on the hesitant side because of those injuries, because he considered retirement this offseason. I mean, I think it might take him a little bit to kind of get back into the swing of things, make sure like, oh, I can take these hits. And the Chargers are a very good team. I think they are one of those teams that could still compete with your Chiefs, your Bills, your Bengals. So I'm going to take the 2.5. I think Chargers win by at least 3.
We're going to disagree. I'm going to take the Finns. I think the Finns come out here. We when they're on the turf with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they're even faster. I think they start fast once again, like they did last year under Mike McDaniel. Tua's back. Jalen Ramsey comes over from the other LA team. I think the Finns go in here and get the win. They used to this kind of revenge angle too. They dropped that game late in LA last year, so I'll side with the Dolphins to get a Week 1 big time win. These are two good teams. I mean, this could be a playoff preview down the road. I like I said, this they kind of snuck this one in the Week 1 lineup with all these divisional matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
And this game was not snuck in. This was a spotlight game because we got Dallas, New York, Dallas laying 2.5 in the Meadowlands. Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll, you're number 2. What do you think here, man? This is another good game. Another week 1. Week 1's going to be a fun one, man.
It is. I'm all over the Giants. I'm I would say probably higher on them than most people this year. I think they got a chance of stealing that division from the Eagles even. And I think the Cowboys, just something about it makes me think that they're going to trend downward. I don't think Dak is the answer to be a Super Bowl quarterback. Zeke is gone. I know a lot of people are excited about Tony Pollard, but a lot of people also forget he's 26, which is actually getting kind of on the older side for running backs. That's sometimes a lot of them, they start to kind of decline when they hit that mark. I know he hasn't been used as much as somebody who started right away, and he could have, I guess, kind of like your Austin Eckler thing where he wasn't a featured back and is still producing now. But I think the Cowboys are going to be kind of a lower on the expectation side than people expect. So give me the Giants. How about you?
I'm going to take the Giants as a home dog as well here. They got swept by Dallas last year. I think this is a revenge angle, gearing up. Dayball's kind of proven just in a short time that he's one of the better coaches in the league. Goes back to my narrative. Who do I trust more on more time rest? McCarthy or Dayball? I'll take Dayball. Yeah, I know it's only been 1 year, but I'm not the highest on Mike McCarthy. Although I will give Mike McCarthy credit. He's the only guy that's taken Dallas to back-to-back playoffs in years. So for what it's worth, he's been able to get the Cowboys there. I think this is a good spot for the Giants, though, to start off the year 1-0. Cowboys have started slow. I mean, they were awful last year against Tampa Bay to start the year. They've dropped multiple openers over the last couple years. Yeah,
true.
So we're both on the G-Men. So Kramer, remember that when end of the month comes. So get a little bonus on that one. Monday Night Football, your former arch nemesis, Aaron Rodgers, the debut in the Meadowlands, the other Meadowlands. So we got back-to-back primetime slots in the Meadowlands. We got the Buffalo Bills Mafia going to the New York Jets. We've already kind of touched on this one in our top 10 games. We both like the Bills. I will give you the Florida reasons why we like the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it last week. I know you and Rod locked it up. I was going to, but I just decided to pick something different so that we weren't all three on the same. But this is another lock for me. The Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL, not just the AFC. And I don't think Rodgers swings the game that much. I mean, he had trouble beating the NFC teams, which we agree is a weaker conference last year. So I think these AFC teams are really going to beat up on them. Now, the Jets have improved in some other areas, but this Bills team is too good to just be giving them 1.5 points. So, yeah, I'm all over the Bills here.
Yeah, I think the Bills have become underrated almost now, where everybody I mean, they went 13-3 last year, and everybody's like, oh, they were such a disappointment. Like, I get it. They had a disappointing finish, the way that they kind of just got dominated in the trenches in that Cincinnati game. But they were really hurt. They were really banged up down the stretch. I think the Bills, big year from the Bills this year. I think that this could be the year, like we see it so many times, where the team gets so hyped up in 1 year and maybe they kind of don't meet expectations, but the following year they meet them. I think the Bills are I don't want to call them a sleeper to win it all because they're still like second or third odds wise to win the NFL, but they're definitely or win the Super Bowl. But they're definitely not getting the same pub and hype that they got last year or the last time or at this point last year.
Yeah, agreed.
So we both are on the Bills, and that will transition us into our final segment, the Lock and Dog, early edition May. So recapping last week, JMark locked up the Chicago Bears -2.5 against the Green Bay Packers. And for his dog, he gave out the Houston Texans on the money line at Baltimore. My lock was the Monday Night Football. Bills make a statement in front of the national audience, hand it to Rodgers, lay the 1.5. And my dog was New England. I think it was +175 against Philadelphia Eagles. We're each going to give out another lock and dog. Where do you want to lead it off here for your lock, JMark?
I'm going to lock up the Vikings. I know it's a lot of points, but I think the Bucks are going to be very, very bad. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings in the 7.
I like that one. For my other lock, I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go to opening night. I'm going to lock up the Chiefs. I think, I mean, the Lions, they ended Rodgers' tenure. That was cute, but this is a whole different step. This is Super Bowl night. We know trend's been good. I know the Rams laid an egg last year, but that was against Bills. Lions aren't ready for prime time at Arrowhead. Mahomes, Kelsey get off to a fast start. I think that Lions defense just isn't able to stop the bleeding here at Arrowhead, especially when it's warm and they're able to throw the ball all over the field.
Yeah, for sure.
So I locked up the Chiefs and you locked up the Vikings, both at 6.5. For another dog, who's your second dog of the week?
Give me the Giants. I think the Cowboys are trending down. Giants continue to trend up, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants.
I like that one. I'll go do this one for Rod. I'll give out the Steelers. I'll give out the Steelers on the money line against San Francisco. I think it's going to be Sam Darnold. I think it's going to take a week for Kyle Shanahan and group to get going. So I will take the Steelers as my dog to pair them up with New England. So
I like it.
Well,
Rod does not, but I like it.
Yeah, no, Rod's quit. He's not coming back. Just kidding. Shout out to Rod. He'll be back later in the week for other episode where we'll dive into some other things. So stay tuned. Make sure your notifications are on. Make sure you subscribe to the NFL Gambling Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Leave a review. Leave a comment, review. It goes a long way. Helps out with the longevity of this podcast and show. We look forward to bringing you content all year round. I mean, it's only May the 16th. Can't wait till it's September, October, November, December. We're breaking down actual games, handicapping games week in and week out. Before we know, we'll be doing division previews, JMark.
Yeah, for sure. It's all going to go very fast again.
Unfortunately. So before we get up on out of here, JMark, tell everybody where to find you.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at JMarkFootball.
And you can find me, YouTube, there's his handle, JMark Football. Mine is at Moneyline_Matt. Go check out all the other shows on the SGPN. NBA conference finals are going on right now. NHL, go check out both those. MLB's in full swing. College football, college basketball. Colby somewhere in South America, who knows doing what, playing with the Buffalo, talking over-under on the Colorado Buffaloes. But, go check out all these other work. Like you said, go check out old-fashioned football. Before you know it, it'll be fantasy football season, picking your team. So go ahead and get ahead of it at old-fashioned football.
Yeah, we're already doing division previews, and then tomorrow we're interviewing Victoria Edie Butler. Her great-great-grandfather started the Tennessee whiskey distilling process as a slave and taught Jack Daniels how to distill. Of course, Jack Daniels gets most of the credit for Tennessee whiskey, but it was Nearest Green that was behind that. And so we're going to talk to his great-great-granddaughter. It's going to be very fascinating. I'm excited.
You heard the man. Go check that out. And I got to figure out if I'm going to keep RFK. I think I like this new backdrop. The Redskins are back and Snyder's out. So good luck, everybody, with whatever sport you're betting on this week. And don't forget to let it ride.